Welcome! I am artist and educator Christina Schertz. Today I want to show you how to make this game, Roll the Cubism. A drawing game of chance. This game utilizes the multiple vantage points of Cubism to play. So we'll make use of linear perspective, which is a singular perspective, as our art historical base to give example of what Cubism broke away from. Historically, you can think of here, look at this vantage point of the horizon line from the eyes of the viewer. A single perspective from the eyes of the viewer, that's the history of how we made representational images. The figure on the left is an example of how we would view from a single vantage point, like a photographer's lens. And the right is an example of Cubism with multiple vantage points. So what's kind of fun about this is that there's a great history of film coming into play when Picasso began to move into Cubism. As I demonstrate this step-by-step DIY game for you, I'd like to discuss Cubism. So I aim for this game to break some of the barriers that my students may have had in the past, and to educate them on Cubism and its impact. It's one of the major art movements of the 20th century, and it was an extraordinary art movement. It's significant to discuss the possible influence of early films on Picasso and Braque, the issues of perspective, point of view, and what recent research has revealed about how we see, how we perceive, how we make internal images in our mind, and how we make images on paper. This all tells us about the Cubist approach. So by breaking objects and figures down into distinct areas or planes, the artist aims to show different viewpoints at the same time and within the same space, and so suggests the three-dimensional form. Here, I took the figure on the left, the sculpture, and in one of the squares of the cube, I just draw the face. Maybe the next cube will be a similar part of the figure, but a more close-up view, as if you were really focusing in. This is an example of how a different examination of something can add up to a more
Choose
clearer
any
view of the
part you
subject.
want. Get wild. So, when we reference the moving image of film and TV, we're referencing the moving figure. Yet, splat all to the forefront of the picture plane, like much of modern painting, Cubism emphasized the flat two-dimensional surface of the picture plane. And that's what you're going to get after you roll the dice. In his essay, Cubism, Perception and Experimental Film, roll the dice. Draw what you see. You will roll the dice 4 times in honor of 4D. So we're going to move past 3D and move on to 4D, which most say is time. Different vantage points seen at different views. References time. So here I am drawing the first roll of the dice. Roll of the cube. So in Bob Cotton's essay of Cubism, Perception and Experimental Film, he says John Berger and Jacob Bronowski, they noticed that Cubism emerged at the same time as Einstein's special theory of relativity. And so that important paper challenged the established Newtonian position that there is a fixed frame of reference for the measurement of celestial events. Einstein proposed that in mechanics and electromagnetism, only relative motion is important, and that there's no absolute frame of reference. Yay, sounds kind of like Cubism. What Berger and Bronowski were hinting at is that Cubism, the realization in image making that the Renaissance single vanishing point perspective, Newton's frame of reference, no longer had an exclusive claim to representing reality. So it appeared at the same historical moment as relativity, an interesting coincidence, at least. Here I have 3 rolls of the dice. I realized stacking vertically maybe will not come together as well, so I turned my image and rolled it for the final time. Yippee skippy, what I get. And I just place it wherever. This is fun. This is play. I want you to get moments that you couldn't have planned for. This use of chance could be really eye-opening. So finally, Richard Gregory's detailed description of the theories pertaining to perception of movement, they've really hardly been improved in the last 50 years. For further reading, I highly recommend The Psychology of Seeing by Gregory, Eye and Brain, The Psychology of Seeing, 1966. Hey, hope you have fun. Come on back and let's make some more art. Thank you for visiting.